What's up, everybody? Before you get into today's episode of Cosigns and Tangents, I just have to shout out Anchor because it is by far the easiest way to start and create your own podcast. So let me explain. One, it is free. Also, there are several tools that you can use to record and edit your podcast right from your phone and your computer. Also, Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so you can be heard on Spotify, Apple, and many, many more. And you can make money by doing your podcast with no minimum listenership. Ain't that awesome? And you have everything at your fingertips. It is so easy. So, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started now. What's up, everybody? This is your girl, Saina Wynn, and thank you so much for tuning into a new episode of Cosigns and Tangents. And again, I am so excited. I have a special guest for us, and her name is Nicole, and I know her back from my college days. She's not only a friend, but she's also my sorority sister, and she's doing some wonderful things. And I just want to get a chance to promote and empower other women. And luckily, that's something Nicole is extremely interested in doing. And I want you all to get a chance just to talk with her or hear her spiel and her story. So go ahead, Nicole. Please introduce yourself.
Hey guys, thank you for joining us. My name is Nicole Deonte. I am a certified life coach, certified doula. I'm a certified yoga instructor as well. I'm based out of Memphis, Tennessee. The name of my business is Reclaiming Myself. And what I do is I teach women how to take care of themselves, putting themselves first through yoga and self-love coaching. I just recently added doula services to what I'm doing as well. So I provide services for those pregnant women as well. I'm super excited about being in this health and wellness space. It's something that I never really thought that I would be in because I don't look like your typical wellness teacher or instructor. But here I am. I'm here and I'm ready to serve women, especially Black women, women of color, in their journey to reclaiming themselves and who they are through discovering self-love.
Yes. I am so excited to talk with you. So I've known Nicole. I don't know for probably about 10. I know definitely 10 plus years.
Yeah.
Um, we've had some great times together.
Oh yeah.
But we can talk about that a little bit later. But I definitely want to talk about just how you, because you said something that I would just, you said women taking care of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll think that, oh, we wouldn't have problems doing that, but we really do have problems taking
Yeah.
care of ourselves. So can you give me just a little background on your story, just how you became how you got to this level of where you wanted to be in the health and wellness sector? Because I think when we were in school, you were doing education, right?
Girl, yeah. Yes. So my undergrad degree is in early childhood education with emphasis on family and child studies. So I use that to go through the early childhood education. I was a Head Start teacher, went from Head Start teacher to becoming a director of a Head Start. And that's what, honestly, that growing up, that was my goal. That was my dream, to own my own daycare. But then I got into that world and I was like, I don't know if I want to deal with this for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I think
So
I do remember
yeah.
you talking about that. Yeah, so
Most
what was
definitely.
some of the things that you like? Nah, I don't want to do this. What?
With early childhood education, I just got burned out really easily because
Mm,
it's a very needed area to work in, but when it comes to like your pay and things, it's not the best job for your, to try to be providing for your family. And my goal was always, when I started to become a director of a childcare center, when I started to have my own children, I wanted to come out of the classroom and go into like the administration. And it
mhm,
actually happened before like the year before I got pregnant with my son.
mhm.
Um, so when that happened, I was like, okay, well, I'm out of the classroom. I'm living my dream life right now. And then my
Right.
husband got stationed over in Washington State with the Navy. And so that kind of changed my entire life, really.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so is that like the move? Because I know with Seattle, I don't equate Seattle with being having a lot of black friendly. Well, not just not black friendly, but maybe like focus on black health. Or is that one of the reasons that kind of got you into that frame of mind, or it's just there's other steps that got you into looking at health and wellness?
It was really a personal, it was really more so my personal journey
Okay.
versus being over there. So what happened was, my goal after, in my childhood, my goal was, go to college, get married, have kids,
Yep.
and then work till I retire. But then it was like, when I moved to Washington, it was like, I had to rethink my whole entire life, because I pretty much had did everything that I wanted to do it by that point, and I wasn't even 30 yet.
Oh,
So I was
yeah, that
like
makes sense.
27 or so, and I was like, I've done everything. Like, this can't be life for the rest of my life, for the next
Right.
50 plus years, whatever. So I started to do, like, I went on a self discovery journey, as you will,
Mm.
or spiritual awakening, or whatever you want to call it. And for me, it was me taking my first yoga class at the local YMCA in Washington.
Okay.
Um, I had seen yoga. I think I even tried yoga through YouTube and things like that. But I just didn't, it didn't do anything for me. But I saw that they were offering yoga classes, and I was like, I really want to try yoga. So I think I'm just gonna go. And so one of my friends at the time, she was a Hispanic individual, excuse me, and she actually invited me to the yoga class. And I was like, okay, I'll try it, whatever. And I went in and I fell in love with it. It was the way that I relaxed in that class, the
Mhm.
calmness that I felt, I've never experienced before. And so after that class, it just took me to a different space, and mentally,
Mm.
emotionally, physically. I was just in a different space. And that was like the start of my journey to self-love.
Mm.
Um, of course, a lot of personal things were in there. My
Yeah.
husband wasn't really at home because he was always out to sea. And so I was left to defend myself with a child, no family. Like, it was a
Hmm.
lot going on in my life at the time. And I had lost who I was as a woman, who I was as an individual. Um, and I think that going into that yoga class was the start to helping me reclaim myself and redefine, okay, who is Nicole outside of being a mom, outside of being a wife, a sister, a friend? Who is Nicole? And
Hmm.
taking a moment to sit in that yoga class, that truly changed my life and
Mm.
changed who I was. It wasn't until that was like 45 years ago, and
Yeah.
it wasn't until last year during the pandemic that I starting doing the yoga practice on my own.
Hmm.
That I was
Remember
like,
seeing you doing it. I was like, okay, let's
yeah,
do
I
it.
started
Yeah.
doing it, and I started posting videos in my stories, and people were reaching out to me like, "Are you teaching yoga?" And I'm like, "No, why would I do that?" Like,
Right. Because you don't see a lot of us
right.
black women teaching yoga. Like I've seen maybe one woman on like YouTube or something do
Mm-hmm.
it. And so when I saw you do it, I was like, oh, it's somebody that I personally know who's
Right.
doing yoga. And it made me, because I think after I saw you doing it, I went and got like one of those little yoga form, I already had yoga mats, but the
Mm-hmm.
yoga form posters. And I was like,
Oh
okay,
yeah.
let me try that. Because I love yoga. I enjoy when I do it, but it's just, it hasn't been something in my habit yet. But
Right,
yeah.
right. Yeah, and so when people start asking me, and they were like, "Are you teaching yoga?" And I'm like, "No." And I had one girl in particular, I met her through a mutual friend, and she was in Atlanta, and she had a friend in Memphis, and they were like, "We want you to teach us. Like, we're gonna get on FaceTime."
Oh.
twice a week, and I want you to teach it. And so I started doing it, and they were like, you should really be a yoga teacher. And I'm like, girl, I'm not going to teach yoga. Like, I'm cool doing what I'm doing. I have my little jewelry business that I do on the side. Like, I'm good. I don't need to do that. And out of nowhere, I was on social media, and I started joining yoga groups. That's what it was. I started joining yoga groups, and there was a post in one of the groups that said that there was a scholarship for people of color to do the yoga teacher training for free.
Oh, shoot.
And I was like, oh, is this a sign?
Right. Okay, Lord.
Right. All right, Lord, I see you.
Okay.
And so I was like, well, what do I have to lose? Like, it's free. Like, it can't get any better than that. It's free. And it was self-paced. It was all online. And so I was like, well, I'm going to do it. So I signed up. And I had until like December of 2020 to get it done. But girl, I put it off, and then so much in my personal life had changed in that time. So last year, my husband got out of the military in May. He came back from a underway in May. We packed up and moved back to Tennessee in June. Like, my life changed in a blink of an eye. And I was like, okay, so, but I've always considered myself to be very resilient. So I didn't let it try to bother me or whatever. But when I got to Memphis and I got here, it was like, I started spiraling downward, like going back down the rabbit hole into the depression and the anxiety that I was having years ago. And I was like, okay, something has to give. Like, I got to figure out something.
Yeah.
And so,
Memphis, Lord.
Right. And it wasn't, I don't think it was just the move to Memphis. It was so much had changed within a blink of an eye. I was now, we went from being a military family to them paying our rent to like having everything pretty much taken care of to, okay, we're back in the civilian world, and we weren't prepared for it. It came out of nowhere. We weren't prepared for it. So, so we moved back in the end of June. So probably about September, I had gotten into going to therapy, which I highly suggest for any woman, anybody. Everybody needs therapy. Even if everything's going fine in your life, I highly suggest therapy.
Yeah, same. I started therapy consistently last year during the pandemic because it was a clusterfuck.
Oh yeah.
It was a clusterfuck. Like, your emotions, like I never felt like so. She diagnosed me with like an adjustment disorder because basically I moved back to Memphis for like 6 months because mom got sick, my aunt passed. It was just so much going on, and so I was like, she's like, yeah, it's just you have so much change, and that from moving to a comfort zone to a place where it doesn't have any of your creature comforts, your adjustment is off, their depression and anxiety is up, you don't know whether you're coming and going. I was like, sis, stop reading me. But thank you.
Right. Now my therapist, she never diagnosed me with anything, but talking through it, definitely helped, because I was able to realize, okay, I'm having panic attacks. I tried the medication that did not work for me. The dose that they gave me, it was just too much. And so I went back to my yoga practice, and I was like, okay, so I know that yoga makes me feel good, so I need to do it. And so around September, that's when I was like, okay, Nicole, you got this free scholarship. They giving you the tools. You just need to apply them. And so that's when I started taking the training seriously. And I got connected with this one girl who actually went through the program. And what she did was she created a Facebook group it was like a study group to help other people get through the process, because she noticed that a lot of people were trying to get through, but they would fall off because life would happen.
Yeah, and not having that accountability is
exactly exactly. And so I got in there, and I finished at the end of December with my certification to teach yoga, and I haven't looked back, man. Yoga has blessed me, and I've been able to share it with people that look like me that,
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't typically take a yoga class. I've been able to introduce it to so many different people, especially women. I have some men that come to class as well, but especially women. And they have told me how much of a difference they have felt in their life just by, trying yoga.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that has been a true blessing to me, because I was like, again, I never saw myself in a health and wellness space. I know how to work out.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked out. I consider myself healthy,
Mm-hmm.
even though according to your BMI, I'm not healthy, I'm obese, but I'm
Hey,
healthy.
yeah, I feel you. I was like, you lovely girl.
Thank
For those who don't
you.
know, because I feel like a lot of our friends will listen. Hopefully, I'm talking to y'all.
Mhm.
But we're like, but with Black women, our bodies are non-traditional to
Mhm.
me, and
Exactly.
and the BMI itself, it to me is not based. I think they think they do it. It's all geared towards whiteness anyway.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
like for us, we can have bigger bodies, we can have bigger butts, we can have more curvaceous figures, but
Right.
still be healthy.
Exactly.
And that's the
Exactly.
mentality that like our society has. You have to be skinny mini, you can't have this,
Mhm.
can't have that. But
Mhm.
no, I can eat well.
Exactly. Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. And I think that's where I found myself, how I found myself in this space is like, I'm here to let other women, especially Black women, especially curvy Black women,
Hmm.
know that you can be healthy and still be thriving out here.
Oh yeah.
I got myself a nutritionist, so I do try to eat a lot better than, I don't sit around eating hog mogs and chitlins and stuff like that. But I do still consider myself to be healthy, although I don't fit the status of your traditional white, skinny woman yoga teacher.
Right, right.
So that's one of the main reasons why I got into the practice.
Hmm. And that's one thing I loved about you, just seeing you do it, because it showed an accessibility.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've like I said, I've done yoga before, but they're always like the experts who can put their foot behind their whole leg twice, and
Right.
I'm just like, sis, I can't do that because one, my thighs are huge,
What you
so that's
said.
booty. And I love seeing. There's before I saw you, the one woman of color, she was also plus, and I love seeing her representation because it's like, oh, if she can do it,
Mm-hmm.
definitely I can do it. What's holding
Mm-hmm.
me back? Um,
Right.
so one of the questions I want to ask you is just like from just listening to your story, what are some of the misconceptions you heard about yoga, or that maybe some of your students maybe told you that they felt about yoga before they started?
Some of the misconceptions have been, again, I'm too big to do yoga. I get that one a lot. Or I'm not flexible. And it's not true. It's so accessible. It's the entire practice is based on what you need, what your body can do. It's all about you. It
Mm-hmm.
it's like I have a one lady who she was like, well, I can't make my knees touch my I can't make my head touch my knees when I bend forward. That's totally fine. You do what you can do, and
Mm-hmm.
do what your body allows you to do. Um Another misconception is it's all about the poses. If I can't get the poses right, then can't do yoga, and that's not true, because yoga is more of stealing the body. Um
Mm-hmm.
Allowing the body to sit still, allowing your body to just be, because a lot of times we, as women, I always say women because that's who I'm geared towards, that's who I am. But
Right.
for men as well, we get so caught up in the day-to-day tasks that we have to perform that we don't know how to just be. And even just 5 minutes a day of just sitting still, allowing the body to be calm, even if you are not able to turn your mind off, just being still can change your body, in so many ways that you just don't understand. And yoga is more than just the physical, oh, I'm gonna do tree pose. It's more, it's has to do with your mental state. It has to do with your emotions, calming your body. It is just so much that yoga, can give you. I'm trying to see any other misconceptions. Um, Other than those are the main ones that I always get. Yeah.
Yeah. So after those misconceptions are said, so what is like a reaction? Like, have you had any people's reactions to them doing yoga that just surprised you? Like, I feel like maybe some tears. Or
Hmm. Uh-huh. Um, I haven't had anyone. I have not had anyone in my class that have had tears.
mm-hmm.
I personally have had tears. Um,
Uh-huh. I know I am.
right. I mean, but I am just an emotional person. That's just me. But I haven't had that. But I always the reaction that still shocks me, and I'm almost a year into this, is when they're finished, and I always end my class with, "How do you feel?" And they're like, "I feel so amazing."
Mm.
So calm. I feel so relaxed. And I even get the ones, I'm just so sleepy. I'm gonna go home and go to bed. And then that particular one actually came from someone who had been struggling with sleeping at night,
Ah, that's beautiful.
able to sleep. And the gym that I work in, he um had suggested my class to her, and she said, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it or whatever. And when she got done, she's like, I feel like I can go home and go to sleep now. And I was like, see, it's way more than just the physical part of it.
Right.
You're able to rest afterwards.
It's
But it's
definitely a mental.
amazing. It's amazing to get those results and get those people to see how people feel after the class.
Yeah, and I can hear it in your voice that you're getting such an intrinsic like value from it. Just like
Mm-hmm.
you feel good by helping people. You've always been like, because I think didn't we used to kind of call you the mama of the
Oh
sorority
yeah, girl. Yeah, girl.
anyway?
I was the mama because I was gonna make sure everybody was taken care of.
Exactly, you did, and you did it, but very well. But you also was out there. I'm just gonna put that out there, but that's
I
okay.
was,
You was out there.
girl.
You dope. Hey, you
I
still is.
was.
But it's okay. We're 30. My knees don't ain't make the stallion anymore. But I still can get down.
Listen. I try to have my Megan knees, girl. I still try to have the Megan knees every now and then because
Right.
I do trap yoga, which is
Yes.
adding yoga poses over the trap music
Mhm.
basically. And it's not a trap class, or it's not a class with Nicole if we don't twerk, because I mean that's what I do.
Right. Sis.
So we
Let's
don't
talk
have
about.
the Megan knees now.
Yes. Hey, I need to work on this right one. I messed this one up during the homecoming session.
Oh Lord.
I dropped it way low and it ain't been right ever since. But I have
Listen.
no regrets. Okay.
Listen. That's it.
Well, I look forward to taking one of those classes. But the one thing I did see, because kind of it seems like I think I saw that you have an advertisement coming up for children's yoga,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm really excited because I'm seeing a more influx of what I'm loving just in general in the Black community. I just feel like we're trying to heal a lot of the generational,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I'm taking from you going deeper into like your spirituality, your yoga, your taking care of women's bodies.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm loving what we're trying to do with our children because I don't have kids, but one day. But I love that that's what you're doing with the children because they need to understand how to have that inner peace.
Right.
So, would this be your first time doing it? But no, I think I've seen you do it a couple times, right?
Right. I'm actually, of course, with that early childhood background,
Yes.
I be trying to get away from it, girl.
Mm-mm.
But
It's in your blood now.
yeah, and so I actually had a director came in and took one of my weekly classes, and then she reached out to me and she was like, "Hey, can you come teach my kids some yoga? I'm trying to ask, like, she has a home daycare."
Okay.
Um and she was like, "Can you come out and teach my kids like maybe once every 2 weeks or something like that, just to add something different to our classroom flow?" And I was like, "You know what? I think I can." And so I did her class and she loved it, and she told her other colleagues about it. So now I'm in three different centers, three different home-based childcare centers where I go in every 2 weeks and teach 30 minutes of yoga classes.
That is so cool. Now,
Yeah.
so what kind of results are we seeing from the kids? I know it's only been a short time, but have the teacher said anything like it gives them a little bit more calmer, or it's just like an outlet, or?
Both, because one teacher, what she does, she actually added it into her daily routine. So when they come in, like sometime over in the morning, she gives them a couple minutes to kind of do some quiet yoga for themselves.
Mm.
I also provide them with like posters to hang in their classroom so that they have some poses that they can go to. We talk about during each session, I talk about feelings, or I talk about something geared towards what we're going to be practicing. And it's a takeaway for the kids, because I usually always end with, okay, so when we are feeling upset, or we're angry, or we feel like this, or we feel like that, what are some things that we can do, and allow them to express themselves? Well, we can take a breath, and we can breathe, and we can listen to our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
So there have been some takeaways even in the short amount of time. And they're super excited when I come into the classroom, because they're like, oh yes, yoga.
Oh, I bet
So it does my heart really well, because
mm-hmm.
I'm not only am I able to touch adults, but like you said, breaking those generation curses, like it's been real heavy the last couple years with the people our age, trying to break those curses and realizing that there's something there that, hey, we need to change and we need to adapt,
Mm-hmm.
so we can teach our children and they can come up better than we did.
Right, right. I agree. I know therapy definitely kind of helped with me a
Mm-hmm.
lot,
Mm-hmm.
and it's because I think with us, I don't like, not to say blame. I don't like to think of my parents as responsible.
Right, right.
And my mom, I told her, she's an old Negro. She's born in the 40s. And so I was telling her, I was like, hey, mom, I did therapy. And she's like, whose fault was it? I was like, what are you
Mm-hmm.
talking about? She said, was it my fault or your daddy's fault? I was like, oh, Lord.
Right, right.
There's no fault. I tell them, I said, it's no fault in anything that you guys did. You did the
The
best
best
that
that you could.
they could do, because as I say in my other podcast, Nicole, that I blame everything on slavery. Uh,
Mm-hmm. I
so
do. I totally agree with that.
yeah,
Totally agree.
because when you think about it, slavery taught, we didn't have the ability to teach ourselves how to take care of kids. We knew how to take care of white kids,
Mm-hmm.
but we weren't allowed to take care of our own children. Black
Mm-hmm.
men weren't allowed to be fathers.
Mm-hmm.
Black women weren't allowed to be mothers to their own children. So those are generational mindsets and
Mm-hmm.
behaviors that were unconsciously passed down through generation to generation.
Yes.
And so, like I told, like especially with my dad, he was born in 1941. I was like, golly, I am so thankful that motherfucker stuck around because his father he didn't have a father. He barely had a mother who took care of him because she died when he was one.
Oh wow.
So the fact that he was able to not use all of those circumstances and stayed around and was a good father, and those are
Mm-hmm.
traits that they have to fight against, because we have those generational like traumas that are passed down. And so, are you seeing that like now with your own kids and you, that you're trying to change
Oh
any
yeah.
past teachings that you unconsciously had?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Because it's actually crazy, because my mom actually got together with her first cousins last night on her mom's side,
Mm.
because they noticed that there's a lot of generational curses that have been passed down from my great grandmother to their moms, and
Mhm.
so they were sitting around talking, trying to, just kind of, last night was more so of a talking session where they were able to, reminisce on different things that happened, and they noticed that, how mean their moms were,
Yeah.
because their grandmother was mean.
Mhm.
So, and I really think that stems back from slavery, and it's just that mindset that was passed down to generation.
Mhm.
And now what my mom and her first cousins are trying to do is they're trying to change that within themselves, so that they can, change it with us, and that we don't take that and pass it down to our daughters. I think
Mhm.
that I definitely see that. with
Mm.
in my own family. So yes.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, I love that. Like, I love the aspect of us healing each other
Mm-hmm.
and and stop. Because the one thing I know, it took me so long to go into therapy because even though I studied psychology in college, it still took
Right.
me forever to do therapy because in the back of my head,
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm about to say, we
Mm-hmm.
always thought that therapy and that was one a level of weakness and one that was also something that people of the wider persuasion did. So
Right.
we like
Most definitely.
we have to fix our own problems and da da
Most definitely.
da. And but after you're like, you know what, the world is heavy. I'm gonna have to get
Right.
some
I can't do this by
therapy.
myself.
Exactly. Like, I prayed about it. You know what? God told me to go get some therapy.
What you said, what you said. I need somebody that's professional that can talk to me. And one of the things that I want to say about therapy is,
Mhm.
it's necessary for everyone, but
Mhm.
also you have to find a lot of people. They go to therapy and they try it one time and they like it's not for me. You have to find that therapist that works for you.
Yep.
There's someone, I truly honestly believe that there's someone out there for you.
Mhm.
I actually, what I started doing, because I'm in the health and wellness field, I've started to come up with a list of therapists that I recommend to people.
Awesome. Yes.
So I
Oh,
have,
I'm gonna need that for
okay.
so.
Most definitely, most definitely. There's actually a guy that went to chat with us, Justin. I don't know if you know Justin.
Yeah.
Justin Dyson. He's a therapist out here in Memphis.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I just found that out like a couple months ago. Our chapter here was doing an event and his name came up and I was like, I know him. But yeah, so he's out here. If you're a black male, I highly suggest you going to see a black male, not a white male, a black
Mhm.
male. Just like my therapist is a black female and she's 30,
Oh
So
wow. Wow.
that way, because she can relate to the things that I'm going through.
Mhm.
And we can kind of have a dialogue. And it's more so like I'm talking to one of my good girlfriends versus me talking to a therapist.
Yeah.
And I think, so I highly suggest, seeking out someone that looks like you or someone that can actually relate to what you're going through in life.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I actually I agree, but I ended up finding my therapist. She's a white lady.
Mm-hmm.
But she kind of came in. I did the better health thing.
Okay.
And so I started out with her, but then I ran out of my free sessions that I had through my
Mm-hmm.
job. And I was like, well, let me try to find another one. But luckily I found her through Teledoc.
Okay.
And so I was like, I want the continuity of care. I don't
Mm-hmm.
feel like, getting somebody new because I think at that time I was just in such a need. I was like, I need the stability of somebody new. I mean, of the same person. So I
Right.
latched on to that. But yeah, I think just therapy. But yeah, you're right.
Right.
Just
Right.
find
Right.
somebody that actually you click with because
Exactly.
I've seen people like you did. I was the one who I tried therapy once. I was like, I don't like them. And I did for a
Mm-hmm.
couple of years and then anxiety got worse. Then I went to another lady.
Mm-hmm.
She made me cry immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And she
Mm-hmm.
wasn't bad, but I was like, oh, I made excuses. And then I finally like, I have no excuses. I'm at home all day. They're doing it over the phone. So, hello.
Right. Right.
But can you give me maybe not going personally into any sessions or anything, but can you tell me like what is some advice that you've gotten from your therapist that just one blew the hell out of your mind?
Oh, girl, where do I start? Oh, so I see my therapist regularly, like every month. Like that therapy for me is a form of self care.
Yes.
That's like when I get paid, first thing, not the first thing, but one of the first thing I do is send her my money for my session that month because it's something that I need to do. But one of the things that has stood out to me that um in therapy is the fact that I didn't realize how much stuff um I brought upon myself
Mm-hmm.
um just because of my upbringing. I thought I did not, my father has not been a part of my life ever. I know who he is. I see him, every now and then when I go to my grandma's house. So he's there, but we don't have a relationship.
Right.
And one of the things that we talked about was how that in my childhood has affected me with my relationship with my soon to be ex-husband. And how I deal with men in general. So I knew a little bit about how that, but the way that we've broken it down and looked at different traits of my dad versus the men that I choose to entertain or whatever, that stuck out the most, because I was like, dang, so I'm really selling myself short or feeling like I'm not worthy of being loved the right way because because of how my dad treated me, so that stood out to me the most. And I mean, I could go on for days.
Girl, yeah. I know I went to a weight loss therapist, and this mother effer, like, he blew my whole mind day one. And because he made me realize that even though it was not like your traditional verbal abuse, it's still a level of verbal abuse. Like, just like sometimes my dad, good man, but he would kind of talk some greasy shit. And he was like, he said, well, that's still a level of verbal abuse if it hurt you and if it was in a way of continuing. And I was like, oh shit. And so those are some of the biggest like things that I've learned from therapy. And then the one thing he told me once, he said, he asked me, hey, if you, because he asked me, do I take my meds every day? I say, well, sometimes I miss my meds. And he said, well, how about this? If you had a 6-year-old, would you make sure that they had their meds every day? I said, of course, it's very important to make sure that 6-year-old is taken care of. He said, well, think of your inner child as that 6-year-old. If you can take care of that 6-year-old, why can't you take care of the inner child that's in you? I was like, what?
Right.
Shut your mouth, sir.
Yeah.
And why are you correct? Okay. Just blew my whole mind. Oh my gosh.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Well, can I ask you? I know you just said I didn't know, and I'm sorry that you're getting divorced. I hate that. But can I ask you just what lessons are you learning from like that situation?
That with that, my new motto is Ho, happiness over everything. It's actually a song by Janae, Janae,
I
but
love it. Oh.
that is like my motto: happiness over everything. And honestly, and I'll be honest with you, and it's crazy that we're here because I've been getting signs that I need to share my story, and I have not. So I'm just gonna take this as the opportunity to share my story.
Okay, thank you so much. And again, if there's something you don't want to say, please don't feel pressured.
Yes. But we got married young. It was more so out of we loved each other, but it wasn't what it needed to be for marriage. We got married young. It was a little pressure there to get married. And then, so of course, growing up in the church, we're told you stay in your marriage, you fight for your marriage. And so that's what we've been trying to do for the last 9 years. And basically, it's not, is, he's not happy. I'm not happy. And there's no point in us being in a house, and neither one of us are happy, because then now that we have 2 kids, they're not happy. So we decided to go our separate ways. I wish him nothing but the best. I hope that he finds happiness. Just because my happiness is more important than trying to keep somebody in my life that don't want to be there.
Right.
I am a farm believer on, protecting your peace, and whatever that means to you. If that means, getting out of a relationship, then that's what you need to do. You have to be able to stand on your own 2 feet and be happy with who you are and the life that you're living, because we only get one life. And who's to say that we try to stick this out, and then in 9 years things are still the same, and I know waste another 9 years, which so take it upon yourself to find out what it is that you truly want in life and be happy.
Yeah.
Whatever that means for you. And I'm not by any means, I'm not encouraging you to go get the divorce, because I've had to say this to several people that have reached out to me. I'm not encouraging you to get a divorce or to break up with that person, but you have to make sure that you're happy. And it takes two people in a marriage.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for that.
Of
Just
course.
being honest. Well, can I ask you a little bit more? Just because I am a single lady, been single for a long time, but shout out, fellas, what's up? But like, how has your marriage changed your idea on marriage? Is that something you see yourself doing again in the future, or are you just like, you know what, I'm just again, happiness over everything?
It is definitely still happiness over everything, but it makes me um more selective of who I entertain and who I allow in my space.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't let he want to talk to me, and I'm not just talking to everybody that want to talk to me now. I'm very selective of who I allow in my space. I'm very protective of my space. And you have to come with, you got to come with it. This ain't no we just chilling type thing, or text me every day talking about some what's up. No, you got to come with it.
Mm-mm.
I do hope to get married in the future, not near future, but in the future. But if it doesn't happen, I'm totally fine. If it doesn't happen, I'm totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, it's happiness over everything. If it doesn't make me happy, I no longer want any parts of it.
Right, right. Okay. Well, I know you mentioned also about just how influenced you were in the church. Can I ask you where are you now spiritually? Because I know we both went to the same church for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like our because I think I felt very connected in that church for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But I've noticed that, my spiritual walk has changed over the
Mm-hmm.
years and my spiritual needs have changed.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask you, like, where are you feeling with your level of spirituality? Has it changed? Are you doing different things to kind of connect to a higher power now?
Most definitely, it has definitely changed within the last 5 years. Really since I left Chattanooga. Um,
Mm,
it has definitely changed. I did the whole church thing. I grew up in church. I don't have anything against the church. I've learned how to have a personal relationship with God.
mm-hmm,
Whether you call him God, you call him Yah, you call it Jehovah, whatever you call them, it's your personal walk. No one can tell you what's right or what's wrong. You
mm-hmm,
have to define what that looks like for you. And for me, it's being able to pray to a higher power or meditate, or however I choose to do it. But again, I go back to having that personal relationship, understanding what that looks like for you, because your journey, and that's just life in general, but your journey, your spiritual walk, that's yours. It's a
mm-hmm,
journey. It's gonna evolve over the years, and I think that it's important for it to evolve, because if it doesn't, that means that you're not growing as a person. So I think that a lot has changed within the last few years in my life when it comes to spirituality. I personally don't go to the church, the building, but I
mm-hmm.
do have a personal relationship with God. I talk to my kids often about God.
Right.
My kids do pray. We say grace and all that. I'm not saying that there's not a God, because I do believe there is, but again, it
Yeah.
goes to having and understanding that personal relationship with Him.
Yeah, because that's what I found myself going through right now is just trying to have my own personal relationship with God, or like I said, a higher power. I find myself looking more into like even just the African religions and
Mm-hmm.
just trying to strengthen that. Just because, in like a previous podcast, I talked about just how organized religion has
Mm-hmm.
disappointed me. Not God,
Right.
but organized religion. It's
Mm-hmm.
just because I used to go to a very predominantly white church, and the word used to be good, but the feelings of being seen, especially during the Philando Castiles, the George Floyds, just it's the feeling unseen was just getting too much for me.
Right.
And that I was like, you know what? I just cannot deal with this. And then also they had like one of those like conversations about, you know, the race issue. And it was wild. You could see people like, man, this is crazy. But then there was one guy in there was like, well, they're animals. I was like, what?
Oh wow. Oh
I was like,
wow.
bruh, like you're in the church, or like if they're criminals, then they deserve what they deserve. I was just like, okay,
Tell me
you're
how you really feel.
right. Your lack of Christ-like behavior is really showing, bro. Because the
Wow.
Jesus I know, he wouldn't just leave
Exactly.
us hanging.
Exactly.
So that's one of the things, and I'm just really like interested in seeing, because I'm seeing again a lot of Black people looking into and people of color just looking into more ways of being more spiritual and being more connected with the earth and the land. And
Mm-hmm.
I love that aspect of, because the one thing with us, again, slavery, the lack of cultural connection that we have
Right.
to Africa is so we is such detrimental to, I think, our feelings of self. Because
Mm-hmm.
like other cultures have like strong religious traditions, even though some of them can be, you know, kind of wild, but still it's like still you have those connections that we were disconnected from. And also there was so much propaganda against Africa, because I remember growing up being like, I told some Nigerian man I was talking to, I said, we always grew up really not knowing one thing about Africa, and two, thinking that it was just a wasteland.
Mm-hmm.
And but now I'm seeing, I'm like, man, I need to go up to the
Right.
land. They popping right now.
Right. Right. Most definitely. Most
Yeah.
definitely. I
Yeah.
totally agree.
We need to make a trip to Africa. Just FYI.
Oh, it's on the bucket list, man.
Girl,
It's
yes. I
on
want
the
to go
bucket
to
list.
Ghana and the Seychelles.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see what that'd be like.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I love that your aspect. You seem so hopeful and positive, and I'm loving that aspect of you.
Yeah.
So, what now I really definitely want to talk about the doula services,
Okay.
just because that is so interesting to me, because I sent you a video of a woman talking about how that a black woman or a family decided to have their baby at home, and then instead of at a hospital, and that they had just, and they called the hospital, be like, hey, my wife had a baby, and they showed up, just the police showed up trying to like threaten this family. So I just want to talk about like how did you decide to provide the doula services, and why do you feel that that was an important thing for you to have?
I've always found birth work to be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I never wanted to be like an actual doctor, so I didn't really know how this was going to um connect with my journey in life. But I've always had like such a love for when people said that they were having babies. It was like, oh, oh my gosh, you're having a baby, so exciting, until I had mine.
You're just like, this hurt.
Right, right. But I love the fact that what I'll tell you what a doula does, because there's a lot of misconception of what a doula does, the difference between a doula and a midwife. So a doula is there to help the pregnant person physically, emotionally, and educationally during, after, before, during, and after childbirth. We don't deliver babies. I get that one a lot. We don't deliver babies.
Okay.
We're there to help support you through the labor. It's almost like just having a second support person outside of your partner. But we give you the education, whether it's childbirthing classes, to let you know, well, this is what you might experience during your labor and delivery part. It might be there to provide support for your partner who is supporting you. There's different exercises or different techniques to help you when you're in the labor and delivery room, that we can show your partner. Will stand here and rub her back this way when she's having a contraction, or she's saying that her back is hurting, different things like that.
Okay.
um we're also there to just help you to have a voice, because the statistics say that 2 to 3 times that black women or women of color are 2 to 3 times likely to have complications with more likely to have complications during and after labor and delivery from childbirth than the white delivery person, the right pregnant person. So we're there to give you that voice to say, your doctor wants to induce you, but we're telling you, okay, so why we're going to ask her why she wants to induce you, like what medical reason does she need to induce you, or things like that. We're there to help you know what your rights are as a pregnant person. And we're there for you as the mom, because a lot of times there's different types of doulas. And there's a lot of times when, like, in the postpartum world, after the baby has gotten here, everyone wants to come and see the baby, but who's checking on mom? So as a doula, as a postpartum doula, I'm coming into the home to make sure that mom is okay. Yes, that might mean that I need to attend to the baby while mom takes a shower, or I need to cook for mom, or watch the other siblings while mom and baby are bonding, things like that. But that's what a doula does. I was highly interested in doula work when I became pregnant with my son. I never knew what a doula was. But after going through that labor, having my mom there to support me, I feel like I was blessed, because I talked to so many people, especially younger women, who don't have that support person. The dad, the spouses, or the partner, I like to say the partner is not there. Their family does not want to be involved. They're literally there by themselves. I've heard of women going into the hospital alone and having to have their child with just her, the doctor, and the nurse. And I'm like, how? Like, I
Yeah.
wouldn't have made it. So I want to be there to provide the extra support for these moms birthing these children, because birthing a child is amazing. It's an amazing opportunity, because not all women are given that opportunity. And I feel that we need to support them in any way possible.
Yeah. Dang. I'm so glad you broke that down, because I sure thought that you were out here delivering babies.
Oh, girl, no. No, ma'am, not my lane.
Right? You like, look, I'm a person of many things, but that ain't it. I
That is
get you.
not one of them. Mm-mm.
But I definitely love the fact that you talked about the statistics. That's why I definitely wanted to speak with you when I saw that you were a doula, because we've been hearing a lot more about those statistics that women are African American women. I don't know if they're about any other POC women, but Black women do have higher rates of mortality after giving birth. And knowing what doula does, I'm definitely, whenever, if and when that happens, I'm definitely going to have you or somebody as my doula, because you don't have time to think about, what other questions to ask.
Right,
You're busy up
right.
here pushing out a whole human
Mm-hmm.
out of a tunnel.
Right,
It's,
right. And even before doing the pregnancy, you a lot of women go through what they call pregnancy brain. Like, a lot of people think it's a joke, but it's definitely true. Like, you are just forgetful. So I'm there to help these women. These are the questions that when you go to your prenatal appointment with your OBGYN or your midwife, make sure that you're covering these points. Let's have a birth plan in place so that we know, hey, she doesn't want any medication, so don't try to push her to get the medication.
right.
Or she does not, want us to be induced, because I'm seeing a lot of doctors wanting to induce women, because being induced, that kind of gives you more of a timeline or when the baby's going to get here. And you don't have to just be waiting around to see, oh, well, she's due tomorrow, but she ain't, she's not dilating, she's not gonna have the baby tomorrow, things like that. But that's causing a lot of complications, especially with Black women, to where they're having to be rushed into the C-sections and things of that nature, or them having to, forcefully get the baby out and things like that. which cause complications in the woman's body later on after the baby has been here.
Right. And that makes sense because because one, hospitals and stuff with capitalism is such a
Mm-hmm.
business that we need to get her out so we can get the next person in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's wild, man.
Yeah, it
Well, but
is.
besides that, once those statistics about the mortality rate and the inducement and cesarean rate, are there what other facts or statistics did you learn during your training that surprised the heck out of you?
Um, just mainly not having that support person. That was a huge one for me. Just the amount of people not having support. We actually, during my training, we watched a video of a young lady who was a doula. I want to say she was in Chicago, but her audience was more of like the teen moms,
Mm,
and those girls not having those support from their family, anyone, not even knowing what the heck was going on with their body,
mm,
and she was there to provide them with these, these statistics and give them these classes just to help them go through that life altering moment, because that having a child is life changing,
right.
and you need as much support, especially being a teen mom. You need as much support as possible. So that was something that really surprised me and shocked me, and it has me thinking, okay, so how can I, even in my city, how can I help change that, those statistics here in the city, because the numbers here in Memphis are high.
Mm, yeah. What the teen pregnancy or the mortality
Both
rates?
the teens pregnancy and the mortality rates. I want to say that there
Ooh,
was a girl. I don't remember her, but a girl that I went to high school with. She posted a picture of a mom that recently passed, like last week,
girl.
from giving childbirth. This was her third pregnancy,
Mm,
and her husband, posted on social media about her passing right after she gave birth to her third child.
mm. Oh,
Yeah.
man. Golly. Well, I feel like I need a life doula when it comes to just in general going to the doctor because there's always 15 things I forget to ask.
Oh yeah, most
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
I usually write down a list of like questions for when I go to like my yearly checkup or whatever.
Hmm.
Okay, so I'm having issues with this. What do I need to do? Things
Yeah.
like that. Having a running list would definitely help when you just think of random things. Go to your note section in your phone and just write out a list.
Hmm. Girl, that's really interesting. Girl, you're leading a very interesting life. I'm calling you Doseki Nicole. You're like the most interesting woman.
Ah,
Well,
well, thank you. I take
you're
that as a compliment.
yes, definitely a compliment. You better get it. I love the entrepreneurship. I love just you taking those leaps of faith and it's working
Mhm.
out for you. Cause I love how the one thing I love about God is just how he really like you try to go left, he's like, sis, come on.
Mhm. Mhm.
And or he'll put the thing that you're trying to get away with, get away from on your path that you're trying
Oh
to
yeah.
take. And you're like, I'm telling you, this is where you need to be.
Right, right.
Because you're still like, even with the early childhood education,
I'm
you're
trying to get out of it. I'm trying to get away from it, as far away from it as possible, but I just
good.
can't shake it. And it's
Mm-hmm.
crazy because when I moved back,
Mm-hmm.
that's literally the only job I've had since
Mm-hmm.
college.
Right.
And like I tried to, and I even applied to like my old job that I worked in Memphis before I left. I tried applying there. I tried applying for the company that I worked for in Washington when I got back, and nothing fell through. Nothing
Mm.
fell through. So I just took that as mean I didn't need to go back in that capacity, but yet I'm still doing kids yoga in the classroom.
It's still different, but you up here training women or helping women through their birth.
Right,
So
right,
I guess Nicole loved the kids, just can't get
right,
away
right.
from
It's just
them. Well, I know one thing I didn't get a chance to touch on was that you are a life coach as well.
yes.
That's awesome. So what's your top like three things or three advice for people who are stuck in a rut? Because I felt that was like my life for like 5-6 years. It's just that feeling really stuck in a rut. So, what are some advice that you can give to our listeners, male, female, or non-binary person, just about maybe getting out of their own way?
Take my first one would be take the leap. A lot of times, I know me personally, I'm an overthinker. I overthink everything. um Even when I get clear signs to do it, I still gonna sit back and be like, am I really supposed to be doing it? But just learning how to just take the leap, go with the flow. Every day is not gonna be a good day. When you have those off days, sit and work through what you're feeling. But then when you get finished, get up and keep moving. And then my last one, happiness over everything. Make sure that you're happy, whatever that looks like to you. Even if you don't know what that looks like to you, you have to figure it out. Try things until you figure out what it is that makes you happy.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, we're getting closer to about an hour, but I can talk to you all day. But I want to start ending my podcast with just a simple question, my love.
Okay.
What is your favorite thing about being a Black person?
My favorite thing about being a Black person is that we're magical. I say that I was saying that in a joking way,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm starting to realize that it's true. We're magical. I feel like I am a magical being. Like whatever I put my mind to, I can do it, and I usually get it done. Whatever dreams I've had, I've accomplished those dreams to the fact that now I'm trying to think of my next big dream, so that I can accomplish that in the next 5 years, which probably will happen in 3 years because I'm just that magical. But
Yeah.
it would definitely be because Black people are freaking magical.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I love that. Yeah, we are definitely pretty, the resiliency of us as a culture
Yes.
and as a people. And like the fact, though, that Black women are the cradle of the oh Lord, civilization.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, shoot, I completely love this conversation, and I've gotten so much information out of this, especially the doula, the yoga, just taking time for yourself. I can say if I've learned anything from this conversation is it's okay just to be still,
Mhm.
and also like happiness over everything.
Yes. Yes. Hope.
Yes, because everything will fall in place if you just choose happiness over everything.
Yes. Most definitely.
Well, Nicole, I love you. Thank you so much. Your voice is lovely.
Oh,
Um, and I want to thank my listeners for tuning in. I will make sure to put all Nicole's information in the description, and also do you have anything else you want to promote, Nicole, before I let you go?
um, no. Oh, just stay tuned. If you're in the Memphis area, I'm getting ready to open up my wellness center.
Yes.
Care, Love, Repeat Wellness. It's going to include all of my services, all the many things that I do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's one space for women. I'm holding space for women, especially women of color, to come. Whether it's a yoga class, you have doula services, we'll have a jewelry boutique, and then we're just gonna get bigger from there. Follow me on Instagram at care period love period repeat period wellness. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Nicole Deonte on Facebook and on Instagram as well. And check out yoga classes, virtual classes be starting back up next month in August.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's all I got.
Oh, I'm so excited for you. And again, everything will be linked in the bio. And thank you so much, Nicole. And thank you for listening and taking your time out. And as always, I love you and bye bye.
Bye. Hey, Sina.
What's up, Nicole? How you doing?
Nothing